everyone, and welcome back to the Invicta Media YouTube channel. My name is Kevin, the assistant editor over at invictamagazine.com, and I am here with Stevic of 12 Foot Ninja. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm really good, mate. Much better than I'm talking to you now.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I mean, that's usually not a good thing for people, so I apologize that you have to spend sort of 20 minutes with me today.
No, that's all right.
Just very briefly talking, obviously it's evening where you are in Australia at the moment. You've got a nice glass of whiskey there. What are you drinking, sir?
This is Suntory.
Oh.
So it's a...
Posh.
Is it posh? It's man, I'm a posh cunt.
Might have to bleep that one, but it's fine.
Okay.
It's expensive anyway. I don't know. I mean, expensive usually means posh, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of how these things work.
It was a yeah, I've been drinking tequila like flat out. I pretty much tried every bottle of tequila in the bottle shop, and then I absolutely destroyed myself. And then I can't taste it anymore. It's like, nah, I can't do that. So I've moved on to some whiskey for a while.
You know that you've become immune to something when you no longer acknowledge the damage that it's doing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, also we're in crazy lockdown here. So I've got to find some way to kind of, you know, they know my name now. I walk into the bottle shop and they're like, Stevic. I'm like, g'day. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably not a good thing, but
I was going to say, if you're on first name terms with the guy who hands you the bottles, it's usually a bad sign, but a good time nonetheless.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me today. Anyway, we're here to talk about 12 Foot Ninja's new record, Vengeance, which comes out on the 15th of October.
Bloody coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, like soon. Where has this year gone? Right? Like, where has it gone?
It's paradoxically slow and fast at the same time.
Yeah, like January feels forever ago, but also yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's almost January again soon.
That's the weird kind of thing going on, I reckon, with this COVID biz. It's like these last couple of years just feel like they don't count. They're like, you know, some other kind of time metric.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like 2 weeks. Is it 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks?
From where we're sitting and recording today, I think it's like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like 5 days shy of a month. So it's it works out about 3 weeks. But what's 3 weeks in the grand scheme of the years 2020 and 2021, right? Like,
well, it's taken like 2 years to get it out. So 3 weeks.
It really is. So the recording process started way back sort of 2019, I'm guessing, if you're saying that it took 2 years to get out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a lot of it done. And then COVID kind of came and messed up plans. And so we sort of invested time into other things, but it means that we've kind of been sitting with this music for ages. It feels like forever, which has been a really weird experience. Because I think one of the, you know, as any creator, I reckon, could probably relate to, when you make something, you know, the next thing you want to do is share it with other people. And when you don't do that, I find myself, I keep making sort of analogies about edging. It's like we're the most hardcore edges ever. We just love doing it and then just holding back like sickos.
except this time you've got no control over the edging process. It's kind of a natural edging, so to speak.
We know someone else has told us. They're like, it can happen here, and we're like, okay, master or daddy or whatever. Sorry, man.
Is there enough? No, it's all good for me.
It must be this. It
must be the whiskey. It's the Suntory, man. As soon as you get onto those Japanese whiskeys, then all of the kinks come out. It's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine.
I feel that I've got a compulsion of laying in a business lady's lap and just, you know, I want my nappy changed. What else?
And you want
to go to a
being put out.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about the record, obviously, but with it being so long, like, does it ever feel old to you guys when you listen to it now? Even though you're so desperate to share it with it, do you ever get the feeling when you're going back to those songs, you've been like, man, I've been playing this for ages now, and this kind of feels old to me? Or does it still feel fresh and exciting?
It's probably not that we've been playing it for ages, because we haven't, like, we did it and we haven't been able to play shows. So like writing, like the way we do it, and, you know, I guess, again, we're not sort of Robinson Crusoe here, but like we have to kind of relearn it when we go to perform it live, because we
Mhm.
write and record and we're not really thinking. It's not like we jam and then we know the stuff. It's kind of all done simultaneously.
Mm.
So it's not that we've played it to death. It's more that it's been created and we've sat with it. And I guess the excitement of finishing the puzzle kind of gets diminished. Like that's one of the things I think I've noticed most with the COVID thing is there's really no real life human interaction or any kind of like bounce off what we've done to go, you know, apart from starting interviews and talking to, you know, people like you who've checked it out. Like this is the first time we've interacted with people that have actually heard it, you know, so it's really foreign. And I mean, we can see the reactions to the singles online, but because it's online and it's pixels and stuff on a screen, it's really difficult to, it's just not penetrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sort of,
as a performer, you kind of want that instant gratification where you can stand in front of people and get that immediate response back. In the same way of something like, I don't know, like pro wrestling, for instance, like where you get that immediate response. In front of no fans, that doesn't work.
No.
And you don't know whether or not what you're doing is working, even though fundamentally you think, oh, well, I've got something good here, but because there's no reaction, you kind of don't know.
It's bizarre. It's kind of like I've been going down a rabbit hole of evolutionary psychology, and it's kind of like we've gone out and done the hunt. We've, you know, brought the food back for the village, but they've just left like cave paintings. So we don't actually, you know, they're not there going like, yeah, we're going to eat. It's like we get to sort of read their comments. This will be really good when we get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, a bit anticlimactic, maybe. But, you know, it also, I guess, makes you consider why do we do it? Like, what's the motivation? Like, what is the extrinsic factor at play? So, yeah, I don't know. It's quite, I don't mean to sound like a philosophical wanker, but it's unusual. Like, I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime. And on top of that, it's kind of like, you know, we're putting out like the culmination of like a decade of work into this kind of abyss. Like I'm not quite sure if it's going off a cliff or whether there's a bottom or whether, you know, like it's really kind of hard to gauge.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And especially when your band and your creative sort of exploits are more than just putting out a record, right? Because there's all the other stuff that goes on with it. Like behind, you've got the graphic novel and the novel that's coming out that is available to order with the record. Was that always going to be the plan, or has COVID allowed you the time to really focus and put those extra thoughts in and sort of develop that world beyond just music, even more so than you were doing before?
Yeah, I mean, it was always the plan. But to say that, like, it wasn't like in 2021 we're going to, you know, do this. It was more like, you know, 12 Foot Ninja started as a novella that I wrote in like 2007. And the whole concept, the name is about it. There's a character. It follows like, you know, Joseph Campbell's kind of monomyth arc. You know, there's a whole point to it. And there's always been one, which I think has been a little bit frustrating because the name because we take the piss out of music videos, the name has kind of could be perceived as a joke, like 12 Foot Ninja. And I think, you know, I didn't anticipate that. I suppose the way videos happen is more or less my reaction to music videos. Like, I just think they're pretty pretentious and
I think the same.
Yeah. So it's almost irresistible to not take the piss out of them. So yeah, that I guess it's always been the plan to kind of tell this story. Am I still with you, by the way? You've kind of frozen.
I can still hear you. I think my video is just frozen. So
okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So long story short, I think yes, it's always been the plan. Doing it this way has morphed. Like we've experimented with multiple different ways to tell this story. And in an ideal world, if money wasn't an issue, we would have come out of the gate with clips and stuff that tied into the story right from the beginning. But yeah, that wasn't the case. So we've kind of morphed into this multiple branches of reality kind of beast. And, now it's all kind of coming together.
Well, I mean, that's got to be, more creatively fulfilling, especially just trying to fit something so overarching and expansive within the confines of one particular media, right? Like, so if you're just trying to tell this story through music, especially such a genre soup of music, apologies if that's incredibly reductive of me to say.
No, not at all. No, it's fair. Yep.
But I think that a concept like that or a story building like that would get lost within just the confines of a 35-minute record or a series of 35-minute records. So massive kudos for you for expanding on that with all the other various exploits and activities that you are doing, because bands just don't do that in general. It's something completely unique.
Yeah, and there's probably a really good reason why they don't.
Well, yeah, because it takes a lot of time. I mean, you look at somebody like Devin Townsend, for instance, who does try and do something like that, to a certain degree. But obviously, Devin has been doing it forever and has a bigger budget. For a smaller band from the other side of the world, that must be incredibly hard to do, especially when you've got all of these ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge pain in the ass, like to do this. I guess you have to be a bit crazy and tunnel visioned and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I'm not a religious person, but I think that one thing that I'm clinging to is that there's, some sort of meritocracy in the universe, that if you put the effort in, it'll come back in some tangible way. So I'm hoping, people embrace what's happened and, what we've created and then, it morphs into something new that was unexpected. And it doesn't just, like I said, go into a vacuum of space.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's also like the world and media consumption has just changed so much, like since we started. And it's just unbelievable to be inundated with so many options for entertainment, like right at your fingertips at any given time. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know what will happen. I think we're currently sort of in this massive state of flux, like with, what is the music industry and how does it even work? And what is a musician these days? And is that even a thing anymore? So yeah, all those questions are yet to be answered.
I think it's an incredibly valid point. And as you're saying, with content sort of consumption and media consumption, I think that the trend that I seem to see anyway is that the more of something, the more people want it. The more they will dive into it. So I think if you're constantly fighting to give them more, but more that doesn't jump the shark a little bit, like just for the sake of it, if there is a reason behind it, then certainly the hardcore supporters will dive straight into it. And I know a lot of people who are very, very excited about not just the music that's on Vengeance, but everything else surrounding it. Because it means that they get to know everything else that's contained within this little world. It gives them a bit more context. People are, I think, trying to find something they can latch onto, because everything in mainstream media seems to be so surface level and easily digestible. So the more you can dive into something, I think people want that more. That's just how I view that anyway.
Well, I mean, that's really encouraging to hear, that would be my best hope that, that's how it is. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to, I think I'm really just anxious to get this thing out, and for people to kind of have time to digest it and then engage in those conversations, like to be like, oh, I didn't realize that this was, because it's kind of like we finally reveal, over a decade of work. That's kind of frightening, like
Of course.
cathartic and frightening at the same time. And I guess I'm just keen to see it exist, like to take on a life and survive. And I think any kind of hope or observation of what, releasing content is warped severely by the current state of, life itself, with lockdowns and people wearing, pandemic. This pandemic is crazy. It's like a Black Mirror episode.
It really is.
Yeah,
and it's different everywhere, and it's completely different everywhere.
I'm looking forward to heading over to you guys. I think we're in a different mode in Australia at the moment. Like there's a race to get everyone vaccinated so that we can kind of get out there. But yeah, it's sort of it's hectic. Like we've got riots and all sorts of weird stuff going on at the moment. So yeah, it's a bit chaos. Everyone's a bit crazy.
I mean, it's the same here, and we've got lots of political shit to deal with.
Yeah,
that's kind of come as a perfect storm of a tornado of shit, I like to call it. But
that's fair.
At least we can go to the pub, I guess. That's what most people are excited about. And gigs are kind of happening. They are, but you never know whether it's actually going to happen, because people could pull out due to COVID and whatnot. So it's kind of all a bit free and loose, and nobody really knows what's going on.
Well, I feel like everyone needs to get vaccinated, and everyone needs to get COVID. They're the two things that have to happen, and they will. Like everyone will get COVID at some point. I'm confident of that. I think it's just once you are vaccinated, though, the inflammation risk that is doing all the damage is severely mitigated. So it's just like a horrendous flu that you can hopefully get over, but it doesn't kill you. That's kind of, what I'm seeing happening in the States. Like there was a festival recently and it knocked out Korn and 9 Inch Nails and a whole bunch of bands just because one person gets it and everyone gets it. But, they're rooted for a few days or a week and then they're back on it, Yeah. So, I mean,
but you can't tell people that because then.
Well, it's, there's a bit of fear and like my wife's a neurologist, like she's medical. So I'm, I guess I don't have any, like, I sort of feel like, I trust her view on what's safe and what isn't. And the Pfizer is the best option. And it's just, like you can choose to not do it, but like if you're a band, you just can't choose that because you'll never be able to leave the country. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if anything I just said is someone's going to get offended or something. Like do whatever the hell you want, drink petrol for all I care. So everyone does whatever they need to do, but I mean, I feel
I do have to say that please do not drink petrol. That is not a good idea. That is not endorsed by us here at Invicta Media.
No,
but
okay,
but I know what you mean.
I take it back. I retract that statement. Like I'm just trying to say.
But if you are going to do it anyway, is kind of what we're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not preaching. I'm just, I guess, saying I feel like that's the best course. But also just to throw a little jab at the people that are like so fucking concerned about the vax. It's a little bit narcissistic, It's a little bit like, I don't want to put that in my body. But then it's like, do you eat Maccas? Do you drink? Are you smoking dope? Like you taking cocaine? Like, what other shit you put in your body? And then, but that, no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, I don't know. You have to think pretty highly of yourself to be like, no, I'm not going to let them. I don't know. I'm just like, everyone reckons it's good, just do it. What's going to happen? What could possibly happen? What do they want to do? Put 5G magnets in me to like turn me into a satellite or something. I don't
To
care.
be honest, if they did put 5G in me, I would have better internet connection everywhere, and I wouldn't get frozen on Zoom meetings when talking to
Yeah,
guys.
like you are this space that you're stuck on. I don't know if you can see what
I
I'm
can
seeing.
see what I'm stuck. It looks like I've just done a really big poo, to be honest. That's kind of that's my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Leon to superimpose a picture of maybe, I don't know, something nice like a guinea
Wow.
pig or something.
It could be the poo, but I'm hearing like, that Michael Jackson song that builds up with all the humming. I'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can't name it off the top of my head because brain sleep.
My brother. Yeah. You look soulful.
Maybe we could just put a little screenshot of that video in there when this goes up, which is good because that gets rid of my face anyway. But moving very quickly back onto the record before we close off.
Yes, sorry, man. I've taken
man. Like
everywhere.
I would prefer interviews to go off on tangents. Like I think that normally people go, "Oh, are you excited about your album coming out?" And they're all like, "Yeah, we've answered this 100 times." And
you'll always get. I'm having an existential crisis. I'm in a fetal position most of the time. I question existence.
Yeah, I think.
But yeah,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. This was my first experience of you guys getting the record and being asked to interview. So, what a head fuck it was to put that on, because where does a record like this come from? Like, you've got like I've put down here like there's everything from like Meshuggah to Daft Punk to Soft Cell and Depeche Mode and 8-bit and like carnival dance music written by pervert demons. Like that's kind of
that's a good man. I wish we could just put core on the end of that, and that's the genre that we play.
What, pervert demon core? Yeah,
pervert demon core.
There's a t-shirt for you. I
fucking like that.
Yeah.
All right.
So where does a record like this actually come from? Like, how do you guys go, these are all the influences, this is what makes it? That is the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I wish I could tell you the answer to that. Like, we're not drug addicts or anything like that. Like, it's all pretty sort of calculated and how does it happen? I mean, it probably starts with a song. Like, we always try and write songs first, not riff porn or, there's a song underneath every track on the album that you could play around a campfire with an acoustic. There's, melody, harmony, lyrics. The genre exploration stuff, I think it just kind of, I think it happens in not one particular way. There might be three ways that it could happen. Like Ro or Nick will come up with a musical idea that I guess is informed by our back catalog. We've kind of developed our own set of rules, I guess, with writing. So, and we try not to repeat anything. And then I might kind of hear that and go, "Oh, sweet, I see what you're doing there." And then that gives me an idea. It's like when you say to someone, draw a, skateboarding disabled parrot or something. Like, you can go, okay, I instantly can see a whole bunch of things. Whereas if you just had a blank canvas, it can be a bit analysis paralysis. So as soon as you start putting in specifics, they bring their own sets of rules that govern how something might kind of be executed. So there's that, or I could take it and just completely mutilate it into a different genre. That's usually probably the majority of time it happens. And how that happens, I think, is a combination of just whatever I'm getting into at the time. And there's a period of time in this album where I was listening to a lot of 80s kind of stuff. And then, that would morph into something else. And it just, it's sort of like Pong, the ball goes that way and then it hits that thing and then it bounces there. And then, it's hard to, there's not a kind of straight linear path from one point to another. And sometimes it could be exploration of, I think the worst one was like 17 versions of the same song, of just like, what would it be like with this? What would it be like with that? So yeah, I don't have a concise answer to that. It's not like we, take ayahuasca and go and meet with that sort of
but you can kind of tell that, because I think that, like, even though some of the greatest art has been written on drugs, I think that usually that is quite straight ahead. I think that something that's quite as exploratory as this requires a sober mind in order to keep the chaos.
Yeah. I've never been
chaotic.
one. Yeah, I've never been one that uses any substances to, apart from maybe caffeine, to sort of unlock anything. Because it does. You're right. Like, people think they're being wild and innovative, and they're just actually coming out with dog shit. Sludgy dog shit. So I don't know. I always like imagine if Escher was drawing like the shit he would draw like on like hallucinogens or something. Like, his staircases wouldn't be as sharp. That's for sure. And I'm not you wouldn't be able to stand on. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, we definitely need to be like healthy and driven, and be able to dedicate a lot of time at this stuff. And often caffeine's my vice for that, because it's sort of I feel like it gets me in focus mode. But yeah, I wish I could tell you there was some revolutionary way, but I don't even know how it really happens.
I mean, that is kind of more exciting to me, that it's more organic than calculated. You get the bare structure. It's like getting dressed in the morning. It's like, well, how do I look like in this, in this t-shirt? And what if I put this jacket on top? Or what if I take that off and maybe, put my flip-flops on? With,
as weird as that sounds, it's pretty right. You're pretty right there. I guess it's just like every genre isn't for a genre to be a genre, it has to adhere to certain kind of timbral, sonic, harmonic, melodic, rhythmic rules. Like, you can't have dub or reggae unless there's certain things like in place that you go, oh, that's reggae, like for you to identify it. Or I think, and so with our heavy influence, I think Meshuggah is probably at the top of the tree, but there's some Pantera in there, there's some Motley Crue, there's some older kind of stuff, there's a little bit of Slayer in this one that comes out. And we can kind of trace those evolutions, you can kind of trace them back from their sources, like, where they've come from. And I guess it's the same with genres. Of course. Yeah, so I don't know.
No, of course. And I think music is far more exciting when you just say that, well, everything's on the table and whatever works is whatever works, and whatever blends into the next thing is best, rather than going, well, we're a tech band or a thrash band or a dub band, or we're like a pop band, and so we have to write these kind of songs, because then I've heard all of that before. But if you blend something together well, it's like a really nice bolognese. If you chuck something different in and it works, you're like, oh, well, I've made something new there, even though the base is something else. That's far more exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, from my point of view, I think it's just, I just try and write what I would like to listen to, I think I want to recreate that feeling I got hearing Mr. Bungle for the first time.
Sure.
And just having that imagination, and, like, it just felt like very visual. Like, you could kind of, it's sort of, I get bored of the same thing. And I think the same thing, especially in heavier genres, it's like, watching a horror movie where from the start of the film to the end of the film, it's just some maniac slashing people up with a chainsaw. Like, if there's no kind of tension or suspense or you need light to emphasize the dark,
Yeah.
like like all that kind of stuff. So,
and sometimes that kind of movie is fine if you're in the mood for something that doesn't require a bit of thinking. But the best stuff, like you said, has that contrast and the light and shade and the tension build and release and maybe a twist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely get where you're coming from. 100%.
Sweet.
I'm not going to keep you much longer. You've been such a pleasure to talk to, Stevic, and you've
Likewise,
been incredibly
mate.
graceful with your time. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Vengeance is out on the 15th of October. If you have anything to plug, here is your opportunity.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think just get the album, get the novel, get the graphic novel, play the game, and have a bloody good time.
Excellent. Right. Have another Centauri. And
I will.
I hope to catch you at a show when you're allowed over here. Please get vaccinated so
I will.
Ninja can come over. All right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Cheers,
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it.
See ya.